Started. All right. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. This is the 30. Welcome to the 30. This is your host, Patrick. And today we are going to be talking about entrepreneurship. We'll also be talking about business and leadership and perseverance, printing. I have my special guest. His name is Tony Jackson, and he's the president and CEO of Panther Graphics here in Rochester. So I am going to bring him in. If you have any comments or questions for Tony or myself, drop them in a comments field and we will bring them up and make sure that we get them answered. I want to thank you once again for being here on another Thursday. I love you so much. We love you and we are happy to have you here. If you have, again, any questions whatsoever, drop them in the comments field. So without further ado, I am going to bring Tony. Hey, Tony.
How you doing, Patrick?
I am doing well. Thank you. Thank you for coming into the 30. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm great and grateful.
All right. Greatly grateful. I like that. Greatly grateful. Can I use that?
Great and grateful.
Great and grateful. Okay. Yeah. Great and grateful. Tony, now you are president and CEO of Panther Graphics. Tell our audience, who is Panther Graphics, and give us a little background of yourself and the company.
Well, my name is Tony Jackson. I'm the president and CEO, as Patrick has mentioned. I was born in Buffalo. I grew up in Rochester, New York. I went to Edison Tech High School. My grandmother actually raised me and my two sisters. We were actually orphaned at the age of, I was 13 years old, the oldest of 6 kids. And my grandmother had a business called Maycor Cleaners back in the 60s. And I grew up in that business. And I think that's where I sort of got my entrepreneurial spirit from, because I actually opened and closed the cleaners during the summer times when I was probably 13, 14 years old. I'm married. I have 3 kids. I live in Webster, New York, and I'm very involved in the community.
All right. So give us a little background of Panther Graphics. What is Panther Graphics, first and foremost?
Panther Graphics is a commercial printing company located downtown Rochester, 465 Central Avenue. We manufacture from business cards to magazines to food labels to short run packaging. We cover the whole gamut. Anything that's printed on paper, we can do it.
Okay. And Tony, how long have you been in business?
This is my 27th year.
Wow, a long time.
Yes, sir.
I bet you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, huh?
Well, I don't know so much about the ugly, some good and some bad, but I've actually seen a transformation in the industry, because actually I started in this business when I was 14 years old. My first job was when I was 14 years old. And I was a student at Edison Tech, and I was actually running a press after school at Mercy High School.
Okay. And that's how it all started?
And that's how it started from Edison Tech. Yes, it started at Edison Tech. And actually it started because, as you know, back then, Edison Tech was as it is now, a vocational high school.
Right.
Then we were very focused on a lot of the skilled trades.
Okay.
And my actual skilled trade that I had chosen was pattern and foundry. But after about a week in the class, I saw a kid almost lose 3 fingers. And being the quarterback of the football team, I needed my hands. So I said, I got to find another skilled trade to go into. And I walked to school that afternoon and I saw the printing presses, and they looked interesting. There was paper going in, paper coming out. There was some kids were standing there. There were knobs and buttons. It looked difficult. And that was something that I said, it looked challenging. I want to do that. And I went into the print department, and they accepted me. And I stayed there for 3 years at Edison Tech in the printing department. And I had a love for printing from that point. So I have ink in my veins.
It's in your veins. Good. Now, where was the original office, Tony, in terms of the building?
My original office was at 13 Verona Street, which is actually where the Frontier Field is at. We were relocated in 1996 over to Cumberland Street, the old post office building. And then in 2009, we moved the business to Central Avenue.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's when I first heard about
Yes,
you in the business was in the old post office.
yes.
Yeah, from Guy. Is Guy still with you?
Guy's retired.
Oh, he's retired.
Guy's retired. He's planning to move to North Carolina. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Nice. So you obviously, as you said, you have entrepreneurship in your blood. Um, what possessed you to basically stand out on your own and decided, as opposed to going to a job in another printing press, what made you decide to, hey, let's start this business?
That's a great question because I actually worked for 16 years prior to starting Panther Graphics.
Okay.
Um, During that 16-year period, I think I've worked at every printing company in Rochester. I've been fired or I quit every printing company in Rochester. So I would get fired at a job and I'd go home. I don't want to date myself, but I have a voicemail from another printing company and they would say, "We heard you got fired today. Can you come in on Monday for an interview?" And this happened twice. So
Wow.
the second time that it happened, I asked, "I got fired Friday. And you want to interview?" He said, "Yeah." I says, "Why?" He says, "Well, the word on you is that you are an excellent craftsman. You know the business. Every company you've gone to, you've changed the company. But you have a voice and an ego that sometimes is overbearing." And I said,
Sure.
"Well, do you want to take a chance on that?" And they go, "Absolutely." So what would generally happen is I would go into a printing company, and coming from Edison Tech, and I want to back up a little bit because I attended Hobart College for a semester, and I came home because I wanted to print. And I started printing at Penwalt Pharmaceuticals. Was my first job. And then I went into Rochester Polychrome Press. And that was the longest job that I had, was probably 3 years. But after that, every job I had lasted from 6 months to 18 months tops.
Wow.
And my last employment was at Trex Industries with Matt Augustine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And I was very excited about that because it was a Black-owned business and they weren't in the printing. And I actually came in, I built dark rooms, I bought cameras, I bought the presses. I put together a total print shop for those guys there. And after 3 years there, some similar type of the circumstances arose. And I just said, it's time for me to do it myself.
There you go.
I started Panther Graphics.
So you were not a good employee, but a good employer.
I'm not so sure how good of an employer I was in the beginning because, most folks start a business who never had a business before. Right. And we generally have the same, ideas that, hey, we're going to start this company, we're going to make our own money, we're going to go on these great vacations, I'm going to go get this Mercedes Benz, I'm going to buy this big house. And 5 years in the business, that never happened. But what did happen in 5 years is that I had eight employees and my company was doing $1 million in sales.
Oh, wow. In 5 years?
In 5 years, yes. And we had our first company picnic in that 5th year and I had about 8 employees and we were at Durand Eastman Park. And I sat there sort of proud of my company, $1 million company, which I never had any idea I'd have a company that was doing $1 million a year in sales. And I sat there on the bench and we were playing football in the park with the employees and their families and some more guests and friends. And I just looked out and I thought, wow, 5 years, $1 million company, 8 employees. And I said, wow, what happened to the Mercedes Benz? What happened to the big house in the suburb? What happened to the vacations? I'm working harder now than I ever worked for someone, 16 hours a day. And in that moment, I knew what success was. And my own definition of success. And my definition of success at that point, and it is today still, that there's 8 families that God has trusted me with.
That's good.
And I've created this vehicle and God has supported this vehicle for 8 families to take care of themselves. Because as I looked out, these employees had new cars, the kids had new outfits. And that's when I understood the power of helping others and helping people. And what I really had, I had a vehicle to allow families to take care of themselves.
That's good. That's excellent. Yeah, I heard someone said when you are an employee, it's all about you, but when you become the boss, it's no longer about you. It's about
Absolutely.
helping others.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great.
A closed hand can't get fed.
There you go. That's it. Open it up and help others. So what are some of the things that you've learned, Tony, over the years of being an entrepreneur and a business person?
Well, initially, as I said, spending so much time as a skilled craftsman, and even to date, I can say the same thing 27 years later, that I've learned nothing about printing. Now, the technology has changed.
Mm-hmm.
What I had to learn was about business, and I had to learn about people and the motivation of people. So those were some of the skills that I honed in. And what I would say to anyone is to hire a consultant, get a coach because one of the things that really frightened me in that 5th year in business with that $1 million in sales and potentially over $100,000 in cash in the bank, I had never seen that kind of money before.
Sure.
And what I started doing at that time was I started to research and to study why companies went out of business. And everything I looked at, it pointed back to the owner living above his means and making bad decisions for the company. So those are things I focused on: living within my means, taking care of the people, and keeping the company financially healthy.
Okay. So you didn't go out and buy that expensive Benz and a huge house.
No.
You poured back into the business and the people first.
Those things weren't important to me. They weren't important to me anymore because, as I said, when you first start a business, as any person that's leaving a job or starting a company, these are some of the goals and the dreams that you have. But I quickly learned that those aren't the dreams and the goals that you should have, because if you serve and you help, those things become the gifts that the Lord gives you later.
Yeah. Good. So where are you now with the business? I receive an email from you or from your representative.
Yes.
And it seems like there's a transition. First, let's talk about the markets that you're in across. Are you national?
So yeah, we have, there's actually 3 companies. There's Panther Graphics, which you're very familiar with. And there's Panther Solutions, which is a joint venture company between Panther Graphics and Flower City Printing. And that company has more of a national brand. So there are things that are being done in Rochester that folks wouldn't have no idea they're being done. Panther Solutions is a company, because some of the roadblocks, I want to back up a little bit, some of the roadblocks for minority-owned businesses when you're trying to approach those Fortune 1000 companies, you don't have scale, you don't have the experience, and I kept running into those roadblocks, and I had ink in my blood. So being a minority business, that wasn't my lead. My lead was, I'm an expert in the industry, and I know how to deliver quality product on time at a competitive price. So that's what I always led with, but I would always run into that obstacle about scale and size. So part of my community involvement was participating in a lot of boards. So on these boards, I happened to become friends with George Shar, who was the actual CFO at the time of Flower City Printing. At the time, they were a $30 million a year company. Panther Graphics was probably around $2 million. We partnered and formed a company called Panther Solutions. That allowed me to go out on a national scale and sell. So the customers that we've acquired through that relationship are the likes of Frito-Lay, Pepsi, Walgreens. If you go in a Walgreens store, every sign in that store is printed by the Panther Solutions Company.
Oh, wow.
If you go to any store and pick up a Clorox clean stick, that packaging is done by the Panther Solutions Company. So the Panther Solutions is more of a national brand. Panther Graphics is more of a regional brand. So we would manufacture anything within probably a 500-mile radius with Panther Graphics, and your larger Fortune 1000 companies would work through the Panther Solutions relationship. Then there's the Panther Group.
And this is a new one.
This is the new one. This is a new company. My daughter recently graduated from North Carolina T. Go Aggies.
Nice plug.
I give a plug in there. Go Aggies. But what's important to me now in building the business is the legacy of the business, and building a legacy for my family, and my children. My daughter is a marketing MBA student at the Simon School currently. She's also the vice president of Panther for marketing and PR. So the Panther Group is the transition company. So during the COVID, we were in essential business. So we stayed pretty busy through the first month of March, and things kind of sort of fell off. So I started looking for other opportunities, other swim lanes to create income, to create, just opportunities. And the premiums, as the hat you're wearing there, or things that we weren't selling, we weren't promoting. Then the PPE became a big segment. So we actually launched the promotional side of our business in August, and my daughter is actually heading that up.
Good. So you're building. So I hear a couple of things there, right, Tony? I heard in terms of your partnership with Flower City.
Yes.
So that's more in terms of strategic partners, in terms of strategic partnership.
Yes.
To reach the masses.
And the scale of that, sorry to cut you off, but the scale of that, I want you to understand that company has grown, which we formed it in 2005. And last year, that company exceeded $25 million in sales.
Wow. That is awesome.
So the intent was that work would come into this one entity, but the manufacturing would go to either Panther Graphics or into Flower City Printing.
That's brilliant. The power of strategic partnerships. I talk about that all the time.
Absolutely.
Because the world can't do it all by yourself. It's just a matter of partnering with the right people.
Yes. And you said the key word of the right people, and I would encourage anyone looking at a strategic partnership or looking at any type of thing, like it's a marriage. Look at a marriage and you look at that person or that company and says, do I want to be with this person the rest of my life? You really need to evaluate that, because that's what gives it the sustainability. Yeah. It has to be a significant relationship, not just money, not just to come together and create opportunities. There needs to be significant relationships. So I'm saying that there's a significant relationship at the top with myself as the president of Panther Graphics and George Shar, the president of Flower City Printing. We are friends. We go to each other's kids' weddings. We vacation potentially together. We go on trips. We care about each other. So with that being in place, the personal relationship part of it, it makes the strategic partnership absolutely work. And a good example of that, I think it was probably around 2005 or 6, Scottie Pippen approached me to partner with me here in Rochester printing business. Nice. because he was friends with the owner of the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, their owner owns a large paper company. So Scottie had a significant edge on getting paper for the print industry, and he was trying to identify a printing company to partner with. Wow. So Scottie and I met a few times, and Scottie was ready to actually do business. But I just told Scottie, I said, listen, I don't know you. I got to know who you are. I know a basketball player, but I didn't know what your values are, who you are as a person, because this is a lifetime commitment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in a partnership to really establish a relationship prior to just do the business, because dollars won't make sense.
For sure, because if you are in partnership with the wrong person, that can cost you.
Absolutely.
So when you look for a strategic partner, Tony, and I'm going to come back and talk about Panther products shortly. When you look for partners, what do you look for? Is character and integrity, is that part of your equation? What exactly do you look for?
That's number one. That's number one. Because, when there's nothing on the plate, everybody's happy. You want to put food on it. Well, when the plate's full, then you see who you're really working with. Yeah. Well, you can start a business, you can start a partnership, and if the money is small, it kind of works. But when you put millions of dollars on the table, you start to get different ideas, different decisions, people change. So you want to make sure that, because these partnerships, they're very easy to get into. There's a lawyer, you sign some documents, they're easy, but getting out is a challenge. So you want to be very, very careful going into partnerships. That's why the character, the morals, the values of those individuals have to be in line with yours.
That's good. I'm talking to Tony Jackson. He's the president and CEO of Panther Graphics Incorporated. If you want to ask Tony a question, drop it in the comments line and he'll be happy to answer it for you. Tony, let's transition now and talk about your new venture, which you briefly touched on, that's headed by your daughter, who I imagine you're probably grooming for legacy to take over the entire company, right? All companies.
Absolutely. The new company is called Panther Group, and we're working within the space of premiums, and it's really taken off a lot faster and bigger than I ever thought it would. And I actually have a vice president who's actually heading that up, Jeb Tyler, and he walked in my office last week and said, "This is going to be a $10 million business in 2 years." Okay, yeah, right, but good energy. But it has taken off, and it's like, you build it and they'll come.
Yeah.
And as you've received the email blast that we're doing, it has taken off. So we're doing actually a lot of caps, hats, a lot of the PPE stuff, sweatshirts, because what we did was we looked at our current customer list and they were already purchasing. The customers were already there. Mm-hmm. These products, and my daughter now is heading up the social media side to it. We're creating storefronts. So I think with the website for it is panthergroup.biz.
Panthergroup.biz.
Or just call the office for the custom orders. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll drop that, or if your daughter can drop that in the comments field, that'll be awesome. Yes. So what are some of the things that you offer through this company?
We're offering masks, the hand sanitizers, any of your printed products, hats, premiums, things for sweatshirts, for trade shows, all the marketing pieces you would need, giveaways.
Okay. You're talking about strategic partnerships. I'm going to connect you with someone, so we'll talk offline. I think both of you need to chat. Yeah. Here's a question for you coming from Brian. Brian says, what advice would you give a young entrepreneur?
Get a mentor.
Get a mentor.
Get a mentor. Get a mentor. Identify someone who is doing what you want to do and ask them questions. I don't think a successful business is created. I don't think I'm a genius. I don't think not many geniuses come along, but anyone that has done something that you want to do, they will share it with you. It's like going to a good movie. You see a good movie, you want to tell someone, Sure. Find someone that has done what you want to do and just ask them how to do it. And I would also say to any young entrepreneurs, incorporate, follow the process. Okay. There's no elevator to success. You got to take the steps.
I like that. I'm going to have to use that one too. So, Tony, what are some of the life lessons that you've learned in your years in business that you can share outside of the things that you just told Brian? What are some of the other things that you've learned being a business person, an African-American business person going up against larger companies? What have you learned?
So I've got 3 decades to pull from, so the 90s, I would say that I felt the sense of being left out, okay. Or some sort of discrimination or some sort of that way. But knowing what I've known as a skilled person, I never led a sales with me being in BE. I always led with my experience in the business. I always led with my commitment to quality, my commitment to excellence within my business. And I build that within my business. So every job in my company, I did. Every hire up until the last maybe 5 years, I hired. And one of the things I would do is I would guarantee success of anyone I hired if they met me halfway. So what I would say also to young entrepreneurs or someone hiring, you can teach your business. You can teach what you do. You can teach processes. You can teach procedures. you want to look for things in people that you can't teach. The character, the values, the teamwork. So you really want to look for those things within people. Responsibility. Are they, with their families, with their kids? Because whatever's going on in someone's personal life, it's coming to the office. It's coming to work with them.
Sure.
So I lead and I manage from a point of view that my people care about me because I care about them. People will only do for you what they think you'll do for them.
That's good.
So I really, really make a strong commitment to know everyone that works for me. I make a commitment to know their families, to know their children. I ask the questions. I care about them. And, I don't have to ask people to work overtime. I never ask anyone to complete a project. I have 30 business owners within my business. And you as a customer, you've experienced that yourself.
Yes.
Decisions can be made in my company at the lowest level.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Thank you, Tony. And I am a customer, so I can attest to the quality of the work that you've done. And I would tell anyone if there is any job, no job too small, no job too large. So get in contact with Tony and his team.
And to further answer that question that you asked, somewhat too, is that we build the business on word of mouth. Until social media, my daughter's gotten involved, we rarely marketed the business that way. So our customers are word of mouth. A lot of folks after 25 years don't even know that Panther Graphics, an MBE company, is in Rochester because, we've been able to identify our own customers. And I've been blessed with that, to pick and choose who I want to work with.
That's good.
And most of my customers, as yourself, become friends.
Yeah.
So I've got customers that have been with me. We're 27 years old, and I've got customers that are 25 years old. I probably got 5 customers that are 20 years plus.
Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Great job. That's unheard of. That's unheard of in the printing business.
Yeah. Great job. Great job. As we come down to an end, I can go on with talking with you forever. We'll have to schedule another time to get you on.
Absolutely.
Pick your brain.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. I love doing this. And that's a key thing that I do. I do mentor a lot with a lot of young entrepreneurs. They come in, and I just tell people exactly what they need to know, what they need to hear. Because it happened. That's what happened for me. A gentleman gave me a business card around my 4th or 5th year in business. He said, "I want to help you," and he gave me a card. He said, "This card is worth $1 million," and it was a consultant.
Wow!
And I called that consultant. I had a meeting with him. I'm like, okay, I'll see how it goes. I met with the guy. He says, "I charge $250 an hour, and there's no contract." I said, "No contract." He says, "Yeah, you can fire me anytime you get ready."
Anytime.
He says, "And I can fire you anytime I get ready."
That's good. That's good.
So he created a fair loss for me. Okay. One of the things I want to touch back on, I think I kind of lost it there, but in the 5th year, when I said I had $100,000 in the bank, okay, I had never seen that kind of money before.
Sure.
And as I studied how companies go out of business because the owner gets frivolous, that's what forced me to get that mentor, to understand how to manage that situation and manage myself. Because in 5 years, and I had $100,000, the Mercedes was on its way.
Now you can, based on the business that you've built, you can.
I got an F-150, so I want
to. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Good. I get you. You're still looking at the cost.
Yes.
That's good. And you've been great, Tony. And as I said, we do have a mutual friend in Terry Lattimore, and he speaks very highly of you. And he says you've done a lot for the community, and I no doubt believe that. Let me bring one more comment up here, Tony, before we leave, and let's see what, as a minority, what are some of the challenges you and your company face, and how did you overcome them?
As a minority, I never let that bother me. I never let being a minority in the business, because not many minorities are in this field, in this space. And in this space, I'm an expert. I'll claim that. I'm an expert in this space of print. Not many folks in this area can rival my knowledge of print and print manufacturing, even with the change of the technology and the processes in the industry. So I really had not many challenges from that point of view. The challenges came from scale, size, but our goals at the company are on-time delivery with 100% outgoing quality.
Nice.
So, there could be internal issues, there could be internal quality, there could be 95% internal, but nothing leaves unless it's 100%. Now, sometimes something does squeak through. We could be at 99, but the goal is 100% outgoing quality. And once you do that, okay, you knock down barriers. You've been in my shop. I come from the high-end production of print. When I was 19 years old, I worked at a company that actually reprinted the Kodak annual report. So, that was high quality, high end. That's my background. So when you walk into my shop, there's the biggest surprise as far as the minority, the challenge. The challenge is getting folks to come see my 30,000 square feet of space, my Heidelberg presses, my top of the line iGen presses. And they have no idea that that type of equipment is there, let alone owned by an MBE. So when those customers come, they actually see it and they go, oh, there's no, he can do it. Nice.
Tony, thank you so very much. Great job again. I want to thank you. Just one more minute. We forgot one thing, our rapid fire. So I got a couple of questions for you on the rapid fire because people want to know who Tony is, right? So what's the last book that you've read?
The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson.
Okay, good. Miseducation of the Negro.
Yes.
Soda or pop?
Pop.
Pop.
I'm a New York. Food? Pardon me?
Your favorite food?
Collard greens.
Collard greens. Southern, huh? Your favorite music group?
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Ah, The Elements. Very nice. Favorite song?
Me by Jada Kiss.
Okay. All right. Favorite movie?
The Book of Eli.
Okay. And lastly, favorite place to vacation?
Tampa, Florida.
Okay. Is that your hometown?
Or London.
I would give you London. Love London. So, yes. Tony, thank you again. I appreciate it. Let's connect sometime and do this again. Okay.
I'll come back anytime. And Patrick, thank you for having me on your show.
Not a problem. Thank you.
All righty.
All right. Bye-bye now. All right. We've been talking to Tony Jackson. He is the president and CEO of Panther Graphics, and he's also a strategic partner in Panther Solutions, and he has just started a new brand, Panther Products. So if you want to get in contact with Tony, or if you want to do business with him, I'll put his information also in the chat, and you can see that. Well, that's about it. We have something new for today before we end. You see me, I've been putting up these, what we call Pop Thoughts. Well, this is one of our sponsors. This is our sponsor for the 30. I want to thank Cindy. And Cindy is the president of, she is actually the owner until next week. Remember, be safe, be safe, be safe, be safe. Thank you. May God bless you, and may God bless your family. We're out. Deuces.